Hello and welcome to another episode of Factorio Tightening the Belt Megabase Guide. I'm Xterminator and thank you for joining me. So I've done quite a bit of work off camera or off of episode camera. I did it on stream the other day, yesterday. The stream VOD is up on YouTube if you want to check that out. It's obviously on my Twitch channel as well, which is linked in all my videos. But what we did, and you can kind of see it here, is I took down all of the steam power because we don't need that anymore. Took down all the steam power, and our power is a bit more than halfway. We will need to add some more nuclear, but I took down all the steam power, which is here, moved the nuclear processing over to here, not there, here, up here. There we go. Moved it over here, same layout, I just blueprinted it and swung it around, turned it like 180 degrees. But we moved that because now we have this whole area open. And this is going to be all for iron. So we have this iron train coming in. This is going to be another iron station and another iron station here. And we've now done double lanes where one lane is an entrance, one is an exit. So again, right-hand drive. This one is the exit and this one's the entrance. And signaling pretty standard for like what we did on the junctions. You know, normal signals here before these merge. Same here. And then chain signals, you know, before crossing all the way down, just so stuff isn't sat in here blocking it. Like if this train goes and there's something in the way up here, he will wait here instead of like sitting in the middle of this thing. Same with this. These guys chain here before this crossing and here. Pretty straightforward on that. And yeah, so these will be iron. And then we've also put in a stacker here. So what we've done, a stacker, I haven't really explained stackers. They're pretty straightforward in the fact that they, they stack trains. They're essentially just like holding yards for the train. So this is our entry lane again, and I've just done the stacker straight off the entry lane. Now you don't have to do it. If your entry lane also goes somewhere else, you could like continue that on, but this doesn't. So our start of our stacker essentially is our entry lane. And this just holds trains. This one can hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trains. And the way we signal this, let me get rid of a tree or two so you can see. We have a chain signal on the very entrance here, and then we have normal signals on the entrance of every stacker lane. And it's very important to have this type of thing because this will allow the trains to come in here but not block the entire path. So if a train's in here, you can see this one's red obviously, but this is now turned blue, which means that one path is taken, but there's 5 other paths it can take. So this is important to have this a chain signal because if this were a normal signal, it would cause issues because a train could come down here and be like, okay, it's clear. And we actually don't really need this. Well, we'll leave that. Come down here and be like, it's clear. But for all we know, this train will have chosen this path already, right? He will have already chosen to go here. So he'll just go down and he'll try to come here and this will be red and he'll just sit here and block everything else in here, right? So using a chain signal is good because it's going to make sure that it can choose one of the open paths here. And then kind of the same thing here. We have a chain signal before here just to kind of look all the way down. Now these are merges, so you would think normal signals, but on a stacker you will want chain signals like this so the trains don't like block each other in. But this will come down. So this has a capability of supporting quite a few trains. If we want to like start having 2 trains per one of these stations, we can now do that. And what I'd like to do today, and this may not be super exciting for some people, but it was requested a little while ago that I do 1 episode on this, so this is going to be my 1 episode on this. Someone did say I should probably do at least 1 episode actually showing an outpost setup. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to set up an outpost. We need to get some more iron flowing in here, and again, this is probably just going to be a one-time thing because it is, not great episode material. But I think showing it, at least once is probably a good thing to do. So I have some miners that we're having made here, and we have some rail track. We have a whole box of rail track, in fact, and I'm going to get rid of some of my stuff. Don't really need this concrete, or this, or these power switches, or the random boiler. All kind of stuff. We don't really want these labs right now. Chemical plants. I'll keep the modules. Don't want the crappy power poles. Or solar panels. Okay, so that's cleared up a bit of room. And that should be enough miners. Track, we'll probably need a bit more track. And then we want to get some belt as well. So we could request it, but at this point I think it's fast for me to just run down here. You guys also had some very good ideas for this lab setup. Like, we could underground parts of this, and it would actually allow space for beacons in the middle here, which I think we'll probably do eventually. I want to fill in the modules within these beacons as well. So we will do that, and currently we're actually having some science problems. Purple science is the thing that's holding us up, and that's actually due to electric furnaces, which is a steel problem, which in turn is, you probably guessed it, an iron problem. So we need more iron. So it's definitely time to do that. I'm just going to grab pretty much everything that's in here. In fact, this really should be set higher than this. Probably like 500. I mean, we still use yellow belt for some stuff. So we're going to do that. We have a fair bit of red belt. I'd like to take a bit more and then also grab some splitters and stuff just to make sure we have enough of that. Okay, so we have all that stuff. Let's grab some things. I don't think we... Let's see. What else can I get rid of here? I don't really need a substation. I don't need a pipe. Don't really need this wire, to be honest with you. I would like to go grab some steel, actually, though. There's not much steel to grab, but probably should grab some. And I just want to... Yeah, there's like hardly any steel here. Just want to make sure we get some materials, some circuits, copper, some gears. Okay. And we have 2 locomotives now. I did leave room. There should be room for these to actually turn into 242 trains. For now, 142 is okay since they are being fueled by solid fuel, which will give them that bit of a speed boost. So I think we should be okay for now. So what we want to do, now there's several options. We could tap the second half of this patch for another train, but eventually we will want this patch to fully support just like one train. Although looking at it, I mean, this thing's pretty rich, and these boxes are already quite full. I'm wondering, well, these should be stack inserters too, but I'm wondering if, like, maybe we should have this other half of the patch be just another train. There's a huge iron patch up here, which will supply a lot of trains. Really, there should be stack inserters. I think, yeah, I want to do that. This should take, gonna take a lot of stuff. This is gonna take a ton of gears and probably a fair bit of red circuits as well. Oh my goodness, the circuit count is ridiculous on this, how many circuits this takes. Alright. And gears. Well, we wanted something to eat our gears. This is definitely eating our gears. We need to automate these, but I hadn't found a good space for them yet. That should be sufficient. Okay, so we've got that. Let's head out, and we'll go stop by the outpost, and then I'll kind of survey it once we get there and see, you know, do we want... I've also made some landfill, by the way, which is just stone, and, you know, this essentially just allows you to fill in water, so you can just kind of cover up water spaces with it. But yeah, so we're gonna head out and go to that outpost. Let's just throw some fuel in here. We'll manually drive. It's always more entertaining, a little more nerve-wracking. See if I die in the process. That's all right. It's pretty speedy with just a single locomotive here. All right, so go stick these stack inserters and see if we want to somehow figure out another train for this or just do a separate outpost setup. Okay, so first off, we want to... Oh, geez. Well, that is one way to do it. Not really the way I wanted, but this should significantly speed up the loading. We don't really need them on this end because you can see this is backed up anyway. And really looking at this, I think this could support a whole nother train. I would say this pretty much still counts as an outpost setup. Parts of it are already set up, but it's, I mean, we still have to set up another train and stuff, so you're going to see essentially all the process that you would see in a brand new outpost setup. aside from like clearing the patch of trees, which I've already done, luckily. So we're just gonna do this. Again, I'm leaving the space between just for power poles. You can put them right, butt them up against each other back to back, but this, you have to do some underground stuff, like with the belts to get power poles in here, right? You have to, like, underground, you'd have to do, like, this or something to fit power poles in there, which is totally doable. If you want to. Personally, I don't really like doing it that way, and it's just a totally personal preference type of thing. It's a little more expensive, you know, with the undergrounds, but you know, if you want to just pack these in here, because the advantage of that is you can probably get like another row or two of miners since you're saving that space in between. But this patch is fairly large as it is, so I'm not too worried. All right, let's do that. So this one here isn't gonna last too long, and that should be good. Okay, so we also have mining productivity 10 I got up to, which does mean that these are having a 20% mining productivity. So essentially every 5 cycles we're gonna get a free piece, which I mean is not great, 20%, but it's certainly better than none. Okay, so how do we want this train? This is where it's gonna be a little bit janky, because what we actually need to do now at this point is have 2 lines and have them kind of go to 2 different stations, and we need to figure out where we actually want this other station to be is the other bit of a challenge here. So you can see how quickly that loaded, like way faster. Now we could have the other station on top. That's certainly a possibility if we wanted this other station to be above this. I don't have grenades. I do have robots. Of course, it's going to fill my inventory with trees, but that's okay. Okay, that may actually be decent, because I mean, I'm thinking, right, we could put the station down here and it would be okay. Routing the belts would be not as ideal as I'd like. Although having it up top, we'd have to do another connection or bring it down. I think we will do it here. I changed my mind. Okay, so what we do need though is we need this to be 2 lanes again. You technically could support this off of 1 lane, but it would not be great. The throughput would be pretty terrible, because what you could do is you could put like a chain signal like at the start, and then have like this station and a signal like at the entrance, and then a signal at the other entrance of the other station. So like the second train, if there's a train in this station, a second train will be like, okay, well my path's open and he'll come down. But then this train couldn't leave until the other one was all the way in its station, which I mean is doable, but it's like, it's really not that difficult to do a secondary line here. So I'd rather just do that and do it not super janky. I'm trying to like be conservative with my tree clearing here, because your inventory will fill up super quick with trees if you're not careful when you're doing this. Is that good enough? We need 1, 2, 3. We need 3 spaces. I think not quite, no. Unfortunately. Okay, we're gonna have to redo this junction, but let's get this track placed down. What do you know? I actually did it. All right, so this is going to give the train a no path error here for a second, but that's fine. I'm not using bots because I want to be a little more precision with this. And extend this out just to kind of give us a better template. And we actually have a blueprint, which I may have gotten rid of at this point. This is brilliant. Sure, I got rid of it. That's wonderful. Okay, well, what we want to do though is we want to blueprint one of these junctions. And here's a cool little tip. You can actually blueprint you can blueprint stuff that's not visible. So like, see how these 2 signals here and like this power pole aren't in active radar range? I can actually still blueprint this. It's just a little, you don't want to do like big builds with this unless you know like exactly what's what and what you're doing, because you obviously can't see it. So it looks like maybe it didn't actually blueprint that. Maybe they changed that. I'm almost positive. I know at one point you could do that, but perhaps not. All right, so let's see. Need to get rid of this for now. It's going to cut the power, but turn back on here shortly. That looks to be about right, and we're going to do that. Holding shift again will set these trees for deconstruction. That reconnects the power, and this thing should... There is a signal in here, I'm pretty sure. It's a little hard to see. Yeah. Okay, so again, this is going to be our entrance. This is our exit. The train should be good to get here. No, it's not, because I hadn't... Because this is our exit, right? I hadn't connected our entrance to the station. So, what we're going to do here is essentially just have him turn and go in. And then this one does probably need, if I had signals, probably, so what we want a normal, I think we want a normal, we want to designate this part as a 2-lane, but then we want this part to not be. So like, we want to do something like that, except I think I want to change these signals around, actually, because with a secondary station, we need another line coming off. Like, this needs to come off here somewhere for another line. So we'll need to mess with those signals a little bit, but let's go ahead and deconstruct all this. Watch my inventory totally fill up. Luckily, thanks to our auto trash, you can come in here and set auto trash once you've unlocked it. And this works similarly to logistics requests, where we're essentially saying we only want 400 steel. If it gets above 400, put all the excess in the trash. Same with wood. So anything above 50 goes into our trash. That's why these are automatically going in there, which is quite nice. And we want to make sure we do leave room for this. So I'm going to, again, make sure I leave plenty of room. And that should be good. Okay, so this guy's going to come over. This is going to be a little bit wonky. This is not going to look great. This is not how my actual outpost would look, but like I say actual outpost, meaning like further down the road when we go into Megabase stage. So this guy does this. Now we're going to do something not great here. I mean, this works, what I'm about to do. It's just not really recommended. So what we want is here, but then this also needs a way into the exit, right? So we're doing a bit of a crisscross, which is not, I would not recommend this. As well, for something like this, it's okay. For something more high throughput, it's not good. It's because it's kind of just janky with the signaling. Like, we can't actually fit signals in here. We could do this a little bit better. I was just like totally freehanding it. What we could, so that goes that way. Yeah, actually, I think we want that may be a bit better. We hopefully could fit a signal in there. I'm going to make sure not to stand. Okay, so we can now fit a signal in here. So essentially still the same thing. So that's that exit path. We want this, oh, damn it. We want that there and that there. Again, that's going to indicate that direction. We want this guy indicating this direction. And just, again, to make sure we have that right. You can see here the separated rail blocks, though, which is quite nice. And I'm just going to have it do that, because that indicates there that that is a multi-directional track. And the train is still heading... Oh, that's not the right train. We'll want to make sure this train can still get here. It should. The next... Now, you can see that this thing's like totally full. But the next step is actually make these red belts, because a lot of these smelters we need to turn into red belt. So that will then need to be red belt as well. And I mean, all the iron's backed up. It's steel that's a problem, but we need our second train to really bring the iron in for the steel. So that's kind of what we're waiting on. And I just want to make sure that can get there, but let's assume it can. So this is going to be iron. Let's just do this. Iron 2. Pickup 2. We'll just do that. And then this guy will change to pickup 1. And a cool thing is that if you change a train stop that a train is already assigned to, it won't mess up his orders, because it just changes the name. So you can see here, it's just changed the name in here. It won't like give him a no path error or something if you do that. So there's that, and then now we can actually use some blueprints, and we'll see if we have all the materials. Well, we won't have the stack inserters. I can tell you that right now. We won't have the stack inserters. I'm gonna get rid of these lasers for now. I would like to line this up just because it would look kind of nice. And it would obviously line up for the train too. Yeah, we won't have the stack inserters. We'll have to bring those at a different time. Also don't have the boxes, but normal inserters will be sufficient for now. We don't actually have any of those. I could have sworn I picked up, like before I started this episode, I could have sworn I picked up like 4 stacks of them, but oh, I done goofed. I did have 4 cargo wagons. They got all bunched together. There we go. Okay. So there's that, and then we just need our other locomotive, like so. Stick some fuel in there. Yeah, I don't actually have... I do have enough materials, luckily, to just make these. And I think, based on our iron supply and stuff on the bus, again, we will want to make some of this red belt, but I think almost, probably at least half of this train is going to go to steel, just because steel is really what we're having problems with. So this is going to... We'll come up and just power here. And then these guys, so we have a natural 4 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4. Unfortunately, they're not balanced at all because this one's clearly more than like this one or whatever. So we will want to do, these were all fairly-ish similar. We should have done a balancer here, but we definitely want to do a balancer like, making sure, I think we could do, oh, it's the wrong direction. We definitely want to do a balancer for this though, a 4-lane balancer, to make sure everything is as it should be. And again, I'm doing the second half red belt because, you know, a yellow belt can only transport so much. So if we were to do the whole thing yellow belt, only a certain number of miners would be able to work. Let's just kind of bring that up a bit more. This could actually probably be entirely yellow belt. Let's find out. Let's see if this can be solely yellow belt. All right, power. I'm just gonna kind of throw some stuff down there. At least try to line them up this way. And I mean, this is pretty much like, that's why I'm really only gonna show this once or twice if possible, because it's quite straightforward for the most part. You know, you just you kind of have a plan in your head, what you want to do, you know, how you want to set up your outpost. And while it's a bit grindy, it's not actually really hard, I would say. Okay, so there's that. There's that, and then we'll finish this off. Like so. Alright, so we now have those. Some more power would probably be a great idea. Maybe. No, that doesn't line up. Not acceptable. Alright, so let's bring this guy down. And I just want to watch... Well, we won't be able to see yet. Okay, well, let's send these through a balancer, and we could have the balancer actually be on this side. So let me pick this up. In the balancer, we will want red belt. We'll probably just turn this into red. Let's just turn this into red belt from like here. Okay, so a balancer, again, pretty straightforward. Let me just make sure we can like fit this guy in here. Probably pull it back a little bit. Like that. It's gonna be cutting it close, but I think we'll be good. Like so. Take some red belt. Oh, wrong direction. Come in here. And then those will underground. Okay, so we need to then bring this line over to connect up to here. Yeah, the other train is not coming here very often, you know, so we're not having that much iron draw. Of course, we're not doing any science, but that's because we have no steel. I'm actually gonna line that up like so. And there we go. All right, so that's gonna try to balance all this out, and then now we just need to underground this. I'll just underground directly like that. And then we'll just feed these lines in. So this farthest away one here, we want to go to the farthest away of the other. Otherwise, because if this came here and then these had to go over, there's going to be all kind of weird crisscrossing, which I do want to try to avoid. So let's do that. This guy's going to come up. At least try to make it look a tiny bit organized, even though the rest of it looks terrible. Like so. Now these are full red belts, but that's because they were backed up. We'll see how much it really is. Okay, so looking at this, we just want to make sure that all these miners are actually working. And it looks like they're pretty much all able to fit in here for the most part. These actually, there's a couple in here that don't seem to be. Like these ones weren't working fully. I think that should pretty much fix it. Yeah, so these aren't quite full red belts, but it's not bad. Now, since we do have max stack size, these are moving 3 at a time. Again, I would much prefer the stack inserters here. And really, we should, as a finishing touch here, we should be safe, and I'm going to add in, where are the turrets? I know I picked up turrets, right? Yeah, I'm going to add in some turrets here. I don't think we should really be attacked, but in case we do, just throw some turrets down. Who knows what side we'll be attacked from, so I'm just going to throw them pretty much everywhere I can fit them. That should hopefully take care of that. So then this guy, we want to assign to Iron 2, Pickup 2, Inventory Full, and then we want to also bring him to Iron Main 2, which is the secondary station. Inventory Empty. Okay, so let's hop in here, and he should be about full. The reason this one is more full than this one is just because we hooked this line up first. The balancer, I mean, just visually you can see these lines are pretty much entirely balanced, similar. So it's just the fact we turned this one on first, that it filled up first. And that will come over, and then we can, we'll just do red belt straight out of it, because what we really need, like red belt on this steel coming in, and then this will be 2 full yellow belts merging, which was enough for this full build. We actually need to either extend this build or add in our second build, because this is just not enough steel. It was looking really good, again, because it's backed up, and that can be super deceiving. And luckily our signals do appear to work, if I could talk, since we can head there. And see, now this is allowing these trains to move back and forth at the same time without one having to wait for the other. But yeah, so that can be really deceiving, and part of why I don't like buffer systems, because that was actually a perfect example of why I don't like buffer systems for the most part. Is our steel looked really good because we had a buffer system. Remember, it was going full blast for a long time when we weren't using much steel, and it was going to that chest, which was a full chest, and we were filling a belt when unloading from that chest. So for the longest time, it looked like, wow, our steel is keeping up really well, when in reality, when we turned on our production, it actually was very inadequate, but that was kind of masked by the fact that we had that buffer, which, I mean, kind of in the back of my mind, I knew it wasn't enough just because, you know, I know the amount of production in general that's needed and stuff. But for newer players, that's why I kind of try to suggest avoiding buffers in situations like that. Now, there's a difference between buffers like the buffers we used for the solid fuel, for the rocket fuel. That's a little bit different because it's not like, well, in this case, it wasn't like a main production thing. And that was simply just to give it a bit of a head start in producing the fuel. I consider it different because, you know, it's not like, I mean, we were going to launch like 1 or 2 rockets, so we just wanted a head start for production for that. But in a like main base scenario like this, where we're constantly, you know, trying to do production and pulling from the thing and stuff at different rates, you know, the buffer can be deceiving, as I mentioned, and just cause some issues. So speaking of which, I mean, steel, is the steel even, so purple's backed up, kind of. We still have some major steel problems here. Okay, so is there any research I can do that won't take purple? Some braking force would actually be good, train braking force. So let's see, how are we on time? We're at 29 minutes. I think I'm actually gonna end here. So off camera, what I'll do is I'll get this unload working. I'll make this red belt here and then I'll start unloading from this, and I'll send some, wow, that was quick, jeez. I'll send some lines over to the steel, and we'll either expand it or add another steel build as well, but this should definitely help. I mean, this thing's only like a little more than half working, not even, because these in the middle aren't working. So that should help a ton, and I'm pretty happy. So if anyone's wondering on setting up an outpost, hopefully that kind of helped you out. I know it wasn't the most entertaining, but hopefully still enjoyable, and next time we will get down to business doing some other stuff. And you can tell this beacon, even though only half of them are moduled, and it's not the most ideal setup, is still cranking along here pretty nicely. That does take purple, but yeah, I'll probably do some more research off camera too. I do want to knock out as many of these mining productivities as we can, and I've kind of been thinking in the back of my mind that we want to do the Megabase. I don't think we want to do it here because we need this like running at the same time to get resources. I was thinking over here, but now that I'm looking, there's actually one disadvantage I'm realizing to this map. Is there's almost too many resources. Like, there's not actually room to build stuff like without putting it on top of a resource patch, which I absolutely hate doing. I want to reveal out more. I might do some exploring too and figure out where we want to start planning out Megabase stuff while this base can work. So also let me know your thoughts. Like if you know, looking at this, if you have ideas of where we could do that, that's not like super far away, then that would be good. Anyway, thanks as always guys for watching. Hope you did enjoy. Leave your thoughts, questions, and such down below. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.